The live stream. Got it. There's a little bit of a lag between when things stream and when they're actually on the other live. So I believe we are now live on YouTube. So we are officially streaming. So I'll call our conservation meeting to order for November 3rd at 8 o'clock. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you have a flag nearby you, point towards it. And here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under God,
indivisible,
liberty, and justice for all.
Terrific.
Thank you for the flag, Mr. McCreary.
Yes.
That was pretty cool. Clever
well
idea.
played, well prepared. So we have currently in the meeting myself, Bill Dyer, Sherry, Tom Wilson, Ed McCreary. Jim Tate is not on board yet, and I do not see Teresa Gallagher on board yet. So we do have a quorum, so we'll move forward with, I don't see anybody from the public that has contacted me. So I entertain a motion to approve the minutes from our September 1st meeting. As a reminder, we did not meet in October, so entertain a motion to that effect, made by Sherry and seconded by Ed McCreary. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by raising your hand.
Aye.
Aye. So everybody is on board with that. So motion carries. Teresa, I hope will come on board here in a moment to talk about the garden committee as it nears its end of the year process and any general report. So, and skipping over here, go to Bill Dyer. Bill, could you give us an update with Trails activities and where the barn stands since our September period?
That's right. It's been a while. Actually, Teresa was at our Trails meeting, so she will have the notes for that. And so this is good. She doesn't, if she misses this part, no problem. We actually have a new member, Elaine Cramp, and we voted her in to replace Jim Terradine, basically. We have the barn is moving along very well, slowly, but very well. We've stained the stairs on the second floor. We have polyurethane part of it, and that's really next on the agenda. The problem is that now that the temperature is going down, we need heat so that it will dry appropriately and cure appropriately. So we have they've dug a trench and put a pipe in for power over to the pole on Shelton Ave. We've got the electric meter in and the electric panel in, and we have the inspections, the electrical inspections. They came and we passed everything. So now the next step is to pull the wires through the pipe, but UI has to be there to do that or to work with us to do it. So work with Ted, the city electrician. So anyway, that's hopefully will happen soon. We'll then be able to provide some electric heaters and finish the power and those issues. At some point, we're going to have a little HVAC system put in, but in the meantime, we can use electric heaters for any painting or whatever. I decided that the barn needed a plaque, so I bought a plaque. I forgot to take a picture of it so I could show everybody, but I'll send that out. I'll take a picture and send that out tomorrow. But it's a bronze plaque with everybody's name on it, from Trails, Conservation, and the mayor and Teresa. So I think everybody will be happy. We seem to not be sure whether we want to do it. I thought it appropriate, so it's my gift to the barn. We got a bunch of material dropped off by the city to repair the ruts from some of these storms, and so we basically the last couple of work parties, and the next one will be to replace, use this material that we got to basically replace the ruts and various problems that we've had with the rec path. In the meantime, we're doing a lot of tree work because of Mother Nature. We had I would say a 70-foot tree with a 20-foot root ball fall down on the Augusta Trail, just right next to Buddington. And we also had a problem with a drain under the driveway at 199 Buddington, but we cleared that, so the water went down, so we could go in there and cut up this massive tree that was covering up the trail. So, all these big windstorms and whatever, creating a lot of interesting work for those of us who are willing to go out with a chainsaw and try not to get hurt. But anyway, things are going pretty well in terms of that is concerned. And we've done a bunch of drainage work around the barn. Allison's going to do some planting next spring. So things are going pretty well there.
Hey. Did you indicate, or maybe I misheard it, that you've had some drainage washout area that you are going to put some material in? Was that on some of the trails in general, or was that around the new barn area?
No, that's the rec path itself.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, various places. Basically, what happens, we have underground pipes, but this time of year, a couple of twigs, a bunch of leaves, and all of a sudden it overflows and washes down the path. So we've had good support from Jim Geisler and the guys that, the kids that get in trouble,
School.
community service. And so that's helped us out also.
Are the students back in the method that they have to do community service, just in general, not kids that had trouble difficulties like Jim is helping coordinate, but
yes, they are. And we've already had some kids come out now rather than 25 show up in April. So
great.
Really appreciate that they're coming out early.
I know I've got a few high school students who work for me or have worked for me during pumpkin season and such. And I mentioned it to them as an opportunity. And I don't know if any of them took you up on it, but hopefully that spread the word through some channels. So
that's it. That's all we need. Spread the word.
Okay. Anything else regarding trails, Bill?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, terrific. Next item on the agenda was the Shelton Canal Locks project with SCDC. Ed, do you have any thing to update us on over the past 2 months that might have occurred?
Well, we interviewed, I think it was 5 engineering firms to be the potential leads on the project. And it was very interesting. One of the teams that was probably the most enthusiastic and the way I like to describe it is they came into the interview room doing somersaults about how excited they were to be, potentially working on this project. And unfortunately, they were the team with the least amount of support. They were not. It was a project that was beyond their scope. So we kind of whittled it down to 2. Who the interview committee thought were the best. We made our presentations to the mayor, and we're potentially going to have a follow-up call back with the mayor involved for the 2 candidates. So very exciting.
Moving on to the next. I don't see Teresa yet joining us, so I'll just keep moving on.
I guess she can watch the YouTube, right? To do the minutes if need be.
Oh yeah, well, certainly on YouTube, if you're not aware, you can actually take a full transcription and then just copy and paste it, or search for any term that's spoken during a YouTube video. So very powerful when you're looking for a specific item amongst a video presentation of, say, a Board of Aldermen meeting. Look for a specific word, search it in the text because it does a transcription of the entire
Well,
video.
that's nice.
Wow.
Yes, there's tools out there that can make your life easy. Anyway, since Teresa's not here yet, we'll move on to the next items. There was a couple of applications for subdivisions. The first one was a 4-lot subdivision on Weebosset. I don't see any Inland Wetlands Commission number or Planning and Zoning Commission number referred to it as an actual application to have some sort of common reference, but we were courtesy copied on the city's engineer letter. So let me bring that up. Sorry, I gotta try and find out where I'm at here. Okay, so let me do a screen share and you'll be able to all refer to the same thing at the same time. Okay, so this is an email that Teresa sent back to us on October 6th. And so you should all have gotten the email, but Weebosset, this is in the off of Constitution Boulevard. And so this is the headlands of the Ivy Brook. And there is an area here where they want to do a 4-lot subdivision. So it would be coming off of this road here.
Actually, Tom, it would be coming from the top of the screen down to the X.
Oh, here? Okay.
Yeah, because the road dead ends, so they'd be extending the road.
Okay. I don't know, maybe I should pull up the city's GIS system and I could pull up something a little bit more descriptive. Express.
It's gonna take.
So I can see Constitution Boulevard. Everybody able to see this?
Yeah,
Okay, so Weebosset would be kind of over here. Okay, so here we are. So here's Constitution Boulevard at Route 8, Long Hill Avenue. And as you come up here, these are all the roads that are off of Coram Road, all named after Rhode Island, Providence, Pawtucket, and so on. So here's Weebosset, and I believe we're talking about this parcel here.
Wow.
So if this is owned by, I'm not sure if this information is still accurate, but it's almost 2/3 of an acre. And as Ed mentioned, the access would be off of this northern area. If I were to turn on a map layer of CDEP wetlands, these are the wetlands for the Ivy Brook that comes down and feeds down Constitution down towards Butternut Hollow Brook and then on towards the Housatonic River. So moving on back up. The letter that we had letter that we had from Teresa on this was say that it was a 4-lot subdivision. And this was the letter from engineering saying that there were some deficiencies, failed to locate Ivy Brook. The 2 lots failed to meet some frontage. Again, this is not referring any planning and zoning application number. So I don't know if this was a conceptual, but it does say a subdivision map prepared on July 20th of this year. So it seems that there's some reservations from the engineering department, and they say at this time they cannot recommend the plan for construction. So I don't know if it's something that we should be commenting on now, since it's not been received as a formal application from anybody other than receiving a courtesy copy, but maybe it's like a tech session on a concept. I don't know.
Hey, Tom, I thought, is there any prohibition on using PDDs solely for subdivision, residential subdivision purposes when there's nothing commercial? I remember in the past there were, you know, games played where they go, well, right across the street is a church, and that's kind of commercial and things like that.
Island.
The PDD is supposed to be used in an area where there's transition between zones, or it could be used in areas where there's a transition of zones. It's supposed to be used in areas that have been identified as a special development area overlay. And they are not supposed to be used in areas that abut a residential zone.
Because otherwise it's just you're circumventing the subdivision regulations and saying, well, we don't want to do that. We'll just do it.
I didn't catch the reference that it was a PDD. Was that said somewhere?
I thought I saw that on the transmittal to the agenda today. No?
Maybe I made a mistake in referencing it that way. The agenda I had said a 4-lot subdivision. No, it didn't say PDD. That's the next. That's the next.
The next one, yeah, the next one says PDD.
Yeah.
Got it.
Again, I don't know if there's anything here for this to be commented on at this time, but I'm making you aware of it. What's your flavor to do?
They would do fee in lieu of, I assume, right?
Given 4 lots on that small parcel, I would imagine that it would be hard to give a dedication of open space and still get 4 lots on that
Right.
2/3 of an acre. So,
Right.
Likely the only alternative would be a fee in lieu of.
They
Very,
don't,
very, very wet there. The green strips. This is one of those situations where, you know, I don't know if it's 1890 or 1920, they just literally took a piece of raw land and overlaid a map. There was no consideration of cliffs or wetlands. And so those areas that are green are Shelton Land Trust parcels.
Yeah.
And you would sink up to your knees in the mud in some of those areas. You know, when you say headlands of the Ivy Brook, it really is. It's a swampy, muddy area. And just because they show it ending at that's a paper street opposite the X. It doesn't exist. That road does not exist. None of those roads on the right-hand side of the sketch
This road up this way doesn't
exist. And so each of those lots, some of them are on slopes that are straight up. Some of them are on pure mud with classic, lily pads. And this had been proposed about 2 years ago, and they had it ending with a cul-de-sac, and the cul-de-sac was using up land trust land. And the land trust said, we never gave you permission to take up any of our land. Get the heck out of here.
Right.
So under this proposal, I don't know if they're using the paper street or if they're using the property with an extended driveway, was one of the thoughts they had. So
I've added on the city's GIS system that I hope you're still seeing with the screen share. I've added the satellite imagery from 2013. And as Ed mentioned, Providence ends in a cul-de-sac. So this is really a paper street here in front of all these lots, which, as Red referenced, these are all owned by the land trust, and the ones on the other side of the road are owned by the land trust. So these ones here are owned by the land trust, these ones here are owned by the land trust. Pawtucket also comes to a kind of an ending, and this is a paper street. And you're obviously not going to be accessing a roadway through this person's backyard. So I would think it'd have to come from where We Boss It currently terminates to access this. But as the wetlands showed, and he mentioned, there's a swamp there, there's DEP wetlands there. So there's a lot of complications in impacting that to do a roadway to access 4 lots. So
it really should be 2 lots is what it should be.
And surely they wouldn't let them just have a straight line. I mean, how's the fire engine going to turn around and all that sort of issues? So.
Well, as referenced, the city engineer's letter said that they could not recommend the plan for construction at this time. So, like I say, that was copied to all the wetlands and zoning enforcement and Board of Aldermen Street Committee. So, and ourselves. So, again, it does not reference any subdivision number or inland wetlands application number. So I don't think there's anything for us to state at this time until
we
it becomes a
inquire,
formal
though?
application. What's that? Ed?
Should we send a note to the new planning and zoning clerk and say, is this a subdivision application? We got this letter. Is there a
Yeah,
pending
we could do that.
application?
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
Given the engineer's letter, which was in September, I don't see things having moved so quickly that we couldn't do that. So why don't we do that and confirm what its status is as a proper application, so that we can comment it, in proper reference,
Okay.
and then go from there. Okay. Let's see, what was our next item on the agenda was the 4-lot subdivision on Long Hill Avenue, Brookview Heights. Ed, I think this was the one that you were confused at, that it was a PDD. So Brookview Heights, let's see, revision, here, the plan set. This is, are you all able to still see what I'm showing?
Yeah.
Let me go on the city's base map, take all that off, and to show you where this is at, on Long Hill Avenue, again, coming up from Constitution Boulevard. There is a parcel in here that has had some history with it. There was an attempt to do kind of an apartment townhouse kind of development in there. It is abutting this industrial property that I believe Sikorsky Aircraft utilizes.
Yeah.
And in prior applications, the concern was the minimum frontage as to what they could do in here. So in looking at the application, they're coming in with a small cul-de-sac type road and building 4 lots, 4 houses.
God, that's been ongoing forever. I thought they were already constructing. I thought they agreed on 3 lots years ago. No?
There was some lawsuits, I thought, from
Right.
the adjacent property owner over
Right.
a prior plan that showed more of a townhouse with, I don't know if it was 12 or 16 units, but it was significantly more than just 4.
Yeah,
Right.
there was like 12 or 14.
Right. Uh-oh.
So, sorry, I keep trying to get the right page. Do we want to, there's no open space dedication or fee in lieu of that I see for that. So, should we ask for one, or should we make note that the PDD regulations again are allowing residential development without a set aside of open space as would occur normally under residential subdivisions? What's your pleasure?
My first pleasure is Bill to mute his mic so we don't hear the dogs barking. Yeah, I mean,
Right.
I think we
He's
should
just
be,
about to die for a charger.
I can mute Bill myself, so they're
Okay.
done.
so, I think we've been consistent in the past that utilization of PDD to avoid all the ramifications of a normal residential subdivision is really kind of an abuse of the system. I'm not opposed to this proposed development, but, and yes, it may, because it's in a transition zone next to a commercial zone, qualify for a PDD, but, since you have full discretion, commission, whether to award a PDD, and if you normally were doing a subdivision, you'd have to at least do a fee in lieu. I think that's what our letter should say, that don't let the developer avoid the, normal protocols of a fee in lieu so we can bank it for future open space. And speaking of which, well, it's on the tip of my tongue. Have we ever heard that a fee in lieu was set for the property on Mohegan Road that they're now starting to build the houses on? That's opposite the Isinglass Reservoir. That was like to be set in the future, and I don't know that it ever was. So
I can follow up with Alex on that. I know that you're right, Bill. They were nearly ready to pass that resolution when Ruth Parkins mentioned, hey, is there an open space set aside or fee in lieu of? And Tony
Yeah.
Panico then spoke up and said, oh, yeah, you're right. And that was to be administrated, but hasn't done. I don't know. I can say, just to remind everybody, that a fee in lieu of does not have to be paid in full at the start. They
Correct.
can pay it on a prorated basis as they sell the lots.
correct, yes. So anyway, I digress, going off into a different property. So, and the flip side of the coin is, they might very well have come to some, secret court settlement. Hey, if you do a 3-lot cul-de-sac subdivision, we won't object to it, so, I don't know what might have gone on behind the scenes, and I doubt that our letter will result in anything substantive happening to change it. But I think it'd be worth a letter just saying, we don't think the PDD process, would be my motion, should be used for what otherwise would be a regular residential subdivision without arrangements made for an equivalent fee in lieu of open space. And I say that here because it backs up against the interstate, and I'm not aware of any abutting open space we can connect to. So I'm not sure that a dedicated open space makes any sense.
All right, so that's a motion by Ed. Is there a second to that?
I'll second. Or
Tom
Tom.
Wilson, Tom had his hand up first, so seconded by Tom Wilson. Any discussion? I'll start discussion. I would say I agree, Ed, that, there's no open space adjacent to this, so it's not going to create a corridor or a linkage and of course with the Route 8 there, but sometimes open space dedicated can provide a buffer. And, when you look at areas that are in transition between certain zones, for instance, the industrial area just to the south of this, if there was an open space buffer there, it would ensure that you'd have a natural buffer between the residential and the industrial. So I know even though it's up against Route 8, it might not look like it has a open space dedication potential value, but at times I think there is. And I will say that there is a common area here on the map. It says it's 2.14 acres. So outside of the 4 lots, they are conserving a common area that will have some sort of infrastructure on it for drainage and detention basins and such, but it is not an open space, public open space dedication. So I agree. The PDD regulations seem to allow not giving the contributions that are necessary to balance development in a community when it occurs.
And I think a letter will just remind them that we are still looking at these things seriously, and we are still trying to protect what we can protect, or still what has been written to instill for policies.
Yeah, exactly. We're watching. Yeah. Any other comments? Oh, hearing none, I'll take a vote on writing the letter as outlined by Ed and seconded by Tom. All in favor, just show your hand.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. So moving on to our next item on the agenda. A memo for 824 referral on Saginaw Trail. Let me pull that one up. We received a letter from the mayor's administrative assistant looking for an 824 referral on the sale of property. What's this map show here? So this is in Pine Rock Park. Let me pull it up here a little bit on our map. So zooming out, going down Long Hill Avenue towards Pine Rock Park, and then zooming in on that. Let's see how quickly I can find it. Saginaw Trail. Let's see, that's too far. It's Mustang. Saginaw. Here we are.
There it is.
Yeah. So Saginaw Trail comes to here, and I believe that's the parcel we're talking about. Nope, wrong. Let me see. Saginaw and so Saginaw.
I think it was
It's
that
here,
little
it's
yellow.
here, right here.
Yeah,
There
there
it
it is. Yeah.
Okay. So in reference again, this is the piece. If I were to throw down an aerial image on it, the owner of this property has obviously got the driveway crossing it and some structure on it. So they're already utilizing it as their own personal property, which I gotta say, Pine Rock Park has got some unusual property lines. There's some areas, like here's a city road that crosses over the front lawn of certain parcels. So I don't see any linkage with other open space. I think I included the open space map. And so here's the parcel in question. And all the green parcels are little scattered open space, city open space parcels. So there's no linkage to anything else. So I would be in favor of the city selling the property to the adjacent property owner with any proceeds to go into the open space trust account for future open space purchases.
Agreed.
So I think I can make a motion as a chairman. So I make that motion. And Ed, do you second that?
Second that, and for discussion, this is another area where they just overlaid a map. Back in, again, I can't remember, I actually had a case once that involved it, and they gave away the lots as magazine subscriptions. And they were even smaller than they are now. They were literally like 10 by 20. If you had a magazine subscription, you got title to a little piece of land. It was crazy.
Wow.
So that's in part why it's so crazy down there.
Yeah, I mean, even on this GIS map that was included with the administrative assistance letter, you can see that there's this city street goes on the front lawn of this parcel owner, and yeah, they meander a little bit. They were campsites at one time, as we all know. Pine Rock Park was the end of a trolley line, so it was a little different. Any other discussion on that motion? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Am I still on or am I there?
Yeah, you're on, Bill. Yeah, I hear you now.
Oh, good. All right, thank you.
I apologize. I had muted you because there was a lot of chatter in the background there.
Oh, absolutely. My phone was about to die, so I had to go out in the car to get power.
Very good. Okay, so motion passes unanimously, and so we'll move on to our next item on the agenda. Let's see. Okay, so now we come to the discussion about the 824 referral with Wesley Drive. We came upon this just to remind everybody that there was a request for an 824 referral to sell a piece of property on Wesley Drive. And let me maybe pull up the GIS to just make it easy for us to refer to it. No, we don't need that. We don't need that. Don't need that. Here we go.
They're getting real efficient with this map, clicking around the whole city.
Well, yeah, 2 screens helps. At work, I used to have 4, so I got to talk to the boss here to see if I can get 2 more screens. Where am I going here? Yeah, okay, so Buddington Road and come off of Buddington. Here we go. Okay. So this is the Wesley Drive. This is kind of the entry to the Buddington, so the Huntington Woods development. And if I were to throw on our 2016, there was a request for a sale of open space at the rear of this parcel here, which was 56 Wesley Drive. And we didn't see the reasoning why that open space should be given. But in the letter, the mayor's administrative assistant said that similar to what we had done across the street. So across the street, this parcel is one that gave us some challenges through the years. So I'm looking at the 2006 aerial overlay on the GIS map. And we've outlined this in a letter to everyone to remind the history of this, but just to put it on the meeting record here, this parcel, the owners had come in wanting to put a pool in the backyard, and they needed to reduce the setback so that they could do that. And they went to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and Zoning Board of Appeals let us know that this was being requested, and we went on record as having concern that any construction not infringe upon the open space. And the property owners assured on the record that they had a map that would be able to do so and stay within their property line. But as you look at the 2013 aerial, they obviously went beyond that, not only clearing a yard space, but actually constructing the pool.
How did they get a
In-ground
permit
pool.
for that is my question.
Well, they would have had to have a permit for it, but I don't know if the building inspector comes out and says, okay, show me the property line. Are you within it? But they did say on the record at the Zoning Board of Appeals that they had a survey and would stay within their property and just needed the reduction of the setback to their property line. But they infringed on the open space. We sent them a certified letter. We had a meeting at the mayor's office. And at the mayor's office, there was some discussion, and it was left that they were going to work on trying to find a resolution. And there was an 824 referral request to what we interpreted to be license the open space to them, as the city does often license open space for mowing a hayfield or licensing for a utility easement. And so nothing occurred after that 824 referral, but 2 years later, this property was sold to the property owner, I believe it was March, for $15,000. So the couple of questions come up. First of all, the city charter says that if you sell open space over $10,000, which is considered significant value, you have to have a referral letter from the Conservation Commission and the Parks and Rec Commission to Planning and Zoning, in them giving their 824 referral to the Board of Aldermen. So we did not get that request. Neither did Parks and Rec. And the referral to Planning and Zoning did not come from the Board of Aldermen. It came from the mayor's office. So the Board of Aldermen have not been involved in asking for a referral to consider about selling the property. And the Board of Aldermen were not asked about appraising the value of the property to be sold. And then the property was sold early this year, basically without any approval in all of the records I can find from the Board of Aldermen. It's very concerning to me.
It's appalling. And if you noticed, if you go back to that 2006 photo, the house next to the one with the pool, look at this house. And now when you go to 2013, they're already encroaching with mowing. Do you see it?
Yeah. So
It's like, how are you gonna set a precedent? Like, now this guy's gonna say, well, he did it, so why shouldn't I?
Yeah.
And I just think it's setting a terrible, terrible, terrible precedent for anybody who I'm appalled. I think it's disgusting that happened without any approval. Just, oof, not happy.
Don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness.
Well,
Yeah, like just making that decision without having Parks and Rec, Planning and Zoning, Conservation, 3 committees that are set to help protect things like this. It's just insane. And it's just insane.
additionally, my understanding is that anytime there is a sale of dedicated open space, there's supposed to be a public hearing. I think that's a state statute issue. Teresa sent an email to that effect. I'm not sure about that. But given that it was over $10,000 in value, definitely the city charter spells it out, regardless of what a state statute might say. And the state statute very specifically does talk about 824 referrals.
Okay, so
And-
let's move on. Where are we headed for this? Where are we headed? Well, what's
Hey, there's Jim.
the question?
Well, I think similar to our prior item on the agenda where we were letting them know that we are watching what's going on. I think everybody needs to know that we are watching what's going on. And by that, I mean, not just the mayor's office. I think planning and zoning and Parks and Rec and the engineering office, I think they all should be aware that this city property was sold without anybody's permission, nor even a review.
So why don't we write a letter and claim it back? That's what we want to do.
Can I
Let's
make a
go back and get
suggestion?
it.
Can I make a suggestion that we, it's very upsetting, and all of the quote unquote explanations I've gotten for it are really poppycock. That this should not have happened, and I find it extremely upsetting that it's becoming the stimulus for the neighbors to now expand their properties into the city open space
Right.
without even buying the land. And
Right.
I question, did the money even go to the city open space account? I'll bet not. But
Well, I
because
wouldn't jump to that conclusion,
Right.
but it does remain to be found.
So what
Yeah,
do
right,
you
where'd
what do you
go?
suggest, Ed?
that since we can't unring the bell, that we lay out the scenario that we believe happened, the scenario that should have happened, and that we really don't think the city should be in the business of selling open space acquired for the benefit for the personal use and enjoyment of someone who can afford to add a swimming pool and wants more land, of city-owned land, to do so. Rather, you or I, if we wanted to buy a house that had to have a swimming pool with the current house didn't, we'd have to say, well, I guess this house goes on the market, we buy a new house. And certainly in any other town, that would be the route. You don't just get to go to the city and say, hey, can you give me some of your land?
Exactly.
It's in trust for the benefit of generations unborn. It is not for the personal use of current
Yeah,
people
I think
living
we
in the
all
current
understand
time.
that. How do we move forward with this?
That we do the letter in the format of, look, this is what happened. We hope the city is going to be more careful going forward because this is really inexcusable to have ignored all the protocols the way it should have been.
Be like a
Let's take
whistleblower
it
on
one
it.
step further. Let's have that property line surveyed.
Yeah,
Because
we
I
need-
believe that those yellow lines are totally inaccurate. They don't make sense. So it's not gonna matter all that much. There's obvious encroachment, but we should have the line surveyed.
And taking into account the new parcel that's been sold for the pool, I agree. We need a new map with those areas. What's been encroached upon and what's been sold. Yep.
Oh, that's, yeah. I mean, someone's got to be a whistleblower to this. It's got to be exposed that there was something done without the proper protocol. of what the
The
city.
homeowner's gonna claim they didn't know where the property was, they didn't know, they didn't have it. So
That's
the
a-
first
that- but
step in that operation to make sure that they know where the line is and that they cannot cross it or encroach on it is it has to be posted. And so you're gonna have to have the line surveyed and posted if you don't want any future encroachment.
Well, they've already bought the property. That's the issue.
No, I'm saying future encroachment from the existing property owners. You're done with these.
Like the property owner next to him, that should be like
And then
Ed
spell
said.
out what, as Ed said, spell out what the protocol should be and that we're not interested in having people encroach on open space. We
Correct.
spent a lot of time over the years preventing that.
And Teresa has done a lot of work to find these encroachments where we've seen other structures besides swimming pools, garages. It's disturbing how many people have encroached. So we don't want this to think it's okay.
What
I
I'm
just
trying to
wanna-
say
I
is I don't want us to refer to it as whistleblowing. I want to
Right.
refer to it as, look, it's a lesson learned. There are protocols to be followed, and going forward, we want the city to learn a lesson from this. It really needs to follow the protocols.
Well, that's
There's
what
a
I
reason
meant.
for that.
I don't literally mean a whistleblower, but I meant the other two committees, or the Parks and Rec and Planning and Zoning, they should be as aware of as we are. They might possibly be aware and aren't bringing it up. So by writing a letter, bringing it up, it's that we are aware this is going on. This is.
I think that's to Ed's earlier point on another item on our agenda where, our eyes are watching what's going on. We are to act as the environmental consciousness of the community. And so this is something that I find egregious. And I do want to correct one thing. I said it was $15,000 that it was sold for. And looking at it was $11,500. Still over $10,000.
Over 10,000.
And it was done in March of this year. So it was done in March of this year. And it does have on the land records a map and a description as to what the new bounds and meets would be. And so to Jim's point, I think to prevent further erosion of the remaining open space, that those boundaries should be marked and pinned. That way, if they are violated and you remove a pinned marker, you're gonna feel it with a fine.
Like we've had this conversation. I remember Teresa saying exactly that it should be marked and pinned, and it was this piece. I remember her saying that. I wonder if it already is.
Why wasn't it?
Well, maybe it was, but what difference does it make? He's not going to go any further back. There's no reason to. It becomes a cliff, right? But basically where he stopped. So.
Well, I think as Ed referred to, this is for future generations. You have a current property owner who violated city property, built their pool on city property, created a lawn onto city property, and whether they retain that in their ownership for years on end or it goes into somebody else's hands, it's important for us to secure with a confidence, a surveyed marker that this is where your property ends, period.
Yeah.
Well,
Because the next yard they're gonna just start making one straight lawn and across the.
Well, they
whole-
already are. They already are.
Right.
Yeah. It's already been done on the other one.
Well, so I hear there's maybe two actions here. One would be an action to have that parcel and maybe adjacent parcels surveyed and pinned. And then a prior motion to that would be to write a letter outlining our concerns over this violation of open space and sale of open space for violation of charter, whatever we want to term it. I think we should outline the points here and send that letter to the various parties that would have and should have been involved. As Sherry mentioned, not that it's a whistleblower, but it's more of sounding the trumpet of making everybody else alert.
I'm sorry, I
as to
used
what
the
they
wrong
have.
term.
No, that's
I'm
okay.
sorry. I just meant to bring it
Bring attention.
to awareness.
So,
I think the latter is by far more important than the other, because at this point, the guy's not gonna, he's already got the property, he paid for it. We didn't get the money, I assume, right?
Well, I will say that, and I'll get to you in just a moment, Ed. I will say that when the 824 referral for the property across the street came up, and there was a little dialogue, which I was involved with that meeting on the Zoom meeting at Planning and Zoning. And Ruth Parkins mentioned, well, what if they do violate the open space? And attorney Rich Basher, assistant to the mayor, said, well, you can't do anything. And Ruth Parkins said, well, make them fill it in. So there are some on Planning and Zoning who are very upset that the violation has occurred. But they were not made aware that months prior to them talking about this, the property already had been sold.
Yeah.
And I find that unethical, but that's a separate issue.
I think that's the issue we really want to,
No, I
exploit
don't want to
here.
get into that. I don't really, I've written a letter that had a lot of this all outlined just for my purposes to have all of my documentation in one spot. And I was a little vibrant in my
I felt like your letter was okay. That was a question you had asked in one of the emails, and I didn't see it as being too, that's my personal opinion. I thought we're angry about it. Everything you said in it was the truth. So there's nothing wrong with saying the truth. If it hurts, then don't do it anymore.
Did a letter already go?
No.
What
No, but it was emailed.
No,
us.
So for everybody's understanding, to document everything all in one place for me, I had drafted a letter. I drafted all the items and put them in, bullet points. And I put it on a letterhead. It had not been sent. It had not been anything that the commission had drafted. It was just me personally putting that together. And so for all of that knowledge, I did email that to everybody through the Google group. So that's publicly accessible. If anybody wanted to refer to it, they could. But I was a little upset.
maybe
when I was
that's what
writing that.
someone saw and thought we filed a complaint with the Attorney General or something. I wonder where that rumor started.
Maybe.
All right, so we need to probably take the emotion out of it. I don't recall
Agreed.
that letter, and make it a matter of fact business letter. And number two, to answer Bill's comments, I'm not talking about stopping this guy from going further who built the pool. I'm talking about, you can see on the abutting property that it's already expanding into the woods to match the property line. See the clearings behind the other property? It's
Yeah.
already starting
You
to
gotta pull it
match
up
the
a little
line.
higher.
Over here.
In fact, both parcels are now expanding into the
Right.
woods, is my guess.
Can you go up a little
Um,
more on the map?
No,
No, the other way, the other
The other
way.
way. Well,
When-
this is
It's
where the
all
rec
over.
path
It's
is.
all
See,
over
those,
the map. The
it's
lots
right
are
down,
right
it's right
there.
down the
Wait,
lane there.
Wait, no, wait. I'm in the middle of talking about something on the picture that's in front of the screen. Let's not go everyone talking and moving maps around.
No, Ed, all I'm
Wait,
saying, which
wait,
goes with
wait,
what you have to say,
wait,
that there are
wait.
more than one house doing what they're doing.
I wait, okay, wait your turn. These parcels on this side of the street are already starting to expand their lawns to match. That's why I want the survey done. Now, anybody else want to talk? Go ahead.
Jerry, what did you want to add to that in terms of which direction these properties were expanding their lawns?
I agree with what Ed just said.
Okay.
He's
This is-
lot, I don't know if anybody recalls, but it's on the record. Jim here said way back when Huntington Woods was being developed, that 30,000 square foot lots, 20,000 square foot lots was ridiculous, given the size of the homes that they were proposing. Nobody had any space, outside space, in a traditional 1 acre zone type scenario to do what they needed to do. So we're going to have these issues. So what did you need to do? You had to have some kind of writing in the real estate documentation, something that says, listen, your property, know where the open space is. know what you can and cannot do on your property. These are the boundaries. This is where it is. And that map has to be accurate. So that has to be in Huntington Woods, all through this area. You're gonna deal with this. So we have to be proactive in that respect. And I think we're starting off correctly, but it isn't just those lots. You can go all the way around Huntington Woods and you can start to see encroachment. Over here, there's encroachment. Yeah.
A little bit there.
Yeah, they're getting the advantage of both. They're getting the use of the open space and paying taxes on a smaller lot, basically.
Correct. So we have to stop that and be proactive about it. Especially this is I don't know. You know, I'm preaching to the choir here, but you understand. I think it's an educational process too.
Yeah, again, the latest I have is a 2013 overlay. So,
Well, I can tell you right now, it's going to be worse than this.
yeah.
Right.
All right, so Ed, had you made a motion to write that letter?
We hope.
Look at
And
this guy's lawn down here in the lower left.
this one here?
Already cutting across the open space.
Yeah.
That's the one I was talking about when Ed was talking, that it's
Yeah.
Oh,
just
that
right.
was the guy we first had an issue with way back when we put the walkway through. Yeah, I remember.
Here's the
Yeah. Yeah.
Shelton Lakes Rec Path.
Right. Well, that's a sewer easement, isn't it, between the two houses?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still, that's where the rec path is. This was the open space dedication. I think if you recall, Basil Dukoski had given a piece of property to the city to help us better accomplish the rec path. That was
Right.
prior to him selling his, property with the egg operation to the city as open space. All right, so Ed's made a motion. We've had a lot of discussion about it. Obviously, there should be a second to it.
Second.
Bill Dyer seconds it. Any further discussion? I think the recipients we've outlined should be the mayor's office, administrative assistant, planning and zoning, Parks and Recreation, city engineer's office, inland wetlands. So that everybody who should have been involved is now involved.
Why is the city engineer or inland wetlands involved in this?
Well, is the city engineer involved in updating the GIS map for where the property line now is newly located?
Doesn't hurt. Send it to everybody you know. It doesn't hurt. So to make
It helps them be aware. So when it comes up, if they're aware of it,
Right. Yeah.
that this is happening.
But
Or
to your point,
happen.
inland wetlands, I mean, maybe it's just a courtesy to inland wetlands. There's no involvement of inland wetlands here that I know of.
But in the
Um,
future, there might be open space that involves inland wetlands. And so in the future, this could be on their books as this has happened before, let's be aware of it. You know how some wetlands is open space?
And we're watching.
I'm wondering if, in some ways, it's not as egregious. The people may just be moving in and thinking they have woods in their backyard and keep moving forward. So just like we did with the trees, if a letter should also go out to the homeowners and, your property abuts open space, you should be aware of it and you cannot just go willy-nilly when you're clearing your leaves and everything else into the yard.
I think that's true,
Well, I would-
Tom. I think that might be a separate issue that on this particular parcel with the pool, it's been the same property owner since the building was constructed. and
Yeah,
Since the zoning board of appeals and so on. But I think you're right. There are times when Teresa sees somebody doing their lawn clippings or their leaf pickup and they're dumping it on the city open space. And when we see that, we let them know. I don't think that's much the case in these parts. They probably all have private lawn services, but it's a good point.
No.
No?
No, they blow the leaves, go all over. Even the commercial contractors blow the leaves into the open space. So let's be real here.
Okay.
Okay, but that doesn't bother me frankly too much because, tree limbs and leaves decay and add to the soil base. So I'm not too worried if someone dumps their leaves on open space. It's when they, the recent episode in the same area where they cut mature trees in open spaces to me more upsetting. And
Yeah,
I can
Ed,
see
it's a culture. It's not that, yes, it's somebody throwing their leaves over there, their things, but it's a culture that the open space is for everyone. I don't want to see a guy's leaves and lawn debris on my property, on my city of Shelton open space. I want it pristine. I want it natural. I don't want it used as a dumping ground.
well, there's one thing
that's
to be
what happens. What happens is where they throw the leaves, they throw the old timbers, they throw every other crap that they got. They don't separate it out. So that's why it's a culture that we have to prevent.
I think that culture aspect or egregious, whatever, I think that's somewhat of a separate issue than what we're talking about. This is somebody constructed an in-ground pool on city property.
Well, wait a minute. What are we talking about here? It's a done deal. The guy bought the property. It's over. It's over. What are you talking about?
Okay, we're talking about writing a letter to all the parties to say that this property was sold to this property owner without any approval from planning and zoning.
No, we're not. What we're telling everybody else is that you have open space in your backyard. We have had instances where it's been violated, and we regret that. We need to tighten the screws here. That's what
Jim,
it's all about, right?
Wait, no, that's not my motion. Okay.
No.
Jim, you went to part B. We're on part A, just saying historically, that's what happened in this sequence, that proper protocols for seeking approval and putting the right agencies on notice did not take place.
Okay,
And
so we
we're
got
hoping that
we got
won't-
letter A. I got it.
Okay.
We're documenting what happened and it was bad, and we got it. Okay, I got
All
it.
right, so
A.
why don't we vote on that now? So
All right.
the letter, as we outlined, to go to all the city agencies about the history and the proper sequence that should have occurred for a sale of city open space that did not occur. So that was made by Ed and seconded by Bill. We've had discussion on it. Are we all in favor of sending that letter?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, motion of that passes unanimously. Now,
Second motion
second to
is
that.
to look at having the backyard surveyed along the easterly side of Wesley Drive.
Seconded by Sherry. So this is the property now as it exists, having the city open space been sold to this private property owner to
That's the
survey and
property
pin
line.
it.
There is no, whatever the property line is what you're surveying.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I'm surveying it because as you mentioned yourself, Jim, that you thought the yellow line shown in this
Correct.
schematic was inaccurate, and those yellow lines are showing a substantial encroachment. We should know right now whether there are other
Correct.
lots with substantial encroachments.
Correct.
So in that survey, Ed, beyond this parcel here of 49 Wesley, do you want to survey the properties that are adjacent to it on either side where we see some
It's not the
encroachment
properties.
occurring?
I want to survey the open space line. I don't care about the properties. I want the open space line on that from all the way from the back, all the way over to where it connects somewhere. I don't really care, but
Okay,
I'm
Wait,
getting.
wait,
Excuse
Jim, we're
me,
talking
Ed,
about
I'm
the
talking.
same-
I'm talking now.
we're talking about the same thing, the backyard line.
No,
of
Ed,
the
he's
open
talking about
space.
property lines.
No,
I'm
it's-
talking
No,
about.
no.
What's the difference? It's one or
I
the
know.
other.
I don't care where their side yards are.
Correct.
We only
I
care
agree.
about the backyard line. That's
I
all.
agree. The rear property line where it butts the open.
Right.
We are not surveying their properties.
yeah, we're not surveying their
open
property,
space.
we're
Yeah.
surveying our property.
Correct.
Yes,
Okay.
right. That's what I meant.
Okay.
I don't care what someone's side yard is.
Why are we, what good does this do if we don't do it on the other side of the street.
Well,
And
we'll
on
get to
Spring
that.
Street
Hey,
and all the other
Step one.
Yeah. I think we've seen enough violation here on these properties that it's giving us concern, and it's of you know, I don't want to say emergency importance, but it's of higher importance and integrity to maintain this open space to have it surveyed.
Right. It's going to
Okay.
mean a lot more right now to have it surveyed during the winter months when it's very clear to see the pins and the lines than it would be when all the green is out. Just
Okay.
so you know.
So Ed,
Shouldn't we survey across the street where the guys
No.
trying to?
How many
No,
times?
Ed,
do we have to
Bill.
tell- Bill, you're jumping, you're jumping ahead too far right now. One thing at a time.
this part,
That's expensive for obvious.
this one parcel here, we would like to survey. This one city open space parcel, which.
No,
will
we
have
just
a-
want the line. We don't need the whole parcel surveyed. We just want the northern boundary of that open space.
Okay, so to clarify, we want the northern boundary of this
Where it
open
abuts
space
the residential zone.
as shown up to here. We don't
Correct.
need to have this and all the
No,
southern boundary.
No,
Okay,
does us no good.
sorry if this is.
But all of this arises because of a guy across the street.
Yeah, yeah, because that request across the street made reference to the approvals that were given on this side of the street, which had not been given. And the fact was that they had actually already sold the property.
No, yeah, not approval, sale.
Hey,
So that's-
can we
we're gonna-
finish this? Finish this one first, Bill, then make your damn motion, but let's finish this one.
Okay, so the motion on the floor by Ed McCreary, seconded by Sherry, is to survey this open space parcel, but just the northern boundary that abuts the residential properties on Wesley Drive.
That's my motion.
Okay.
Look
Any other
at that
discussion?
encroachment.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Now, Bill,
Not.
did you want to say something about surveying this other open space property?
I don't
Isn't
see a violation there yet. I think we can educate people with the others with this.
Isn't that how this whole thing started?
Not really, no. It started with that other guy over there and
This
everybody.
property owner, hold on, let me clarify. This property here at 56 made an 824 request through the mayor's office, not through the Board of Aldermen, to ask for extension of their property. When
Right.
P&Z took it up, P&Z asked me to be at their meeting. During that meeting, there was reference made to this is just like what you did across the street. And I
Right.
said, I don't think we did anything across the street, which then brought up the infringement that occurred beyond what they had been approved for at the Zoning Board of Appeals. So the violations that we've had on open space are egregious on this side. The sale of open space without any approval by city commissions occurred on this side. We're going to pinch that in the mouth here by having all these northern property boundaries on this open space parcel survey. But down the line, as Jim says, this open space, if we see further violations on there, then we'll take that up then, because surveying is not cheap.
Definitely not. Okay,
Sorry to get louder, but anything else on this subject?
Please, no.
Well, I would also like to
Well,
find out where the,
it's a very serious situation here, in my opinion.
yeah, super serious.
I
I'd
mean,
like to
why
see
have a
what-
conservation commission
yeah,
if
what are
you're
we
gonna
what are
let
we here
stuff
for?
like this happen? Doesn't
I mean,
make sense.
And if you guys remember, years ago, Teresa did a little screen thing of all the places in Shelton where this
Yes,
has happened.
I remember.
Like, unfortunately, this
I remember.
has been sold, but these places people aren't even asking to buy it. They're not even asking. They're just
Right.
taking it and sitting on it. And I've been doing it for 5 years. Let me go a little farther. So this is a good opportunity to wake up people down City Hall. Like Tom said, we're watching. We are seeing things that are making us unhappy, and it's it's not cool with what we represent.
I really don't want to go here, but we could play the Board of Aldermen meeting where they are asked to give a favorable 824 referral months later after the fact, and
I don't
nobody
think-
there
I don't
wanted to
think
let
we-
on that they had sold the property.
I don't think we need to do that, Tom. Let's move on.
Agreed. Okay. Well, I think that's the last item on our agenda.
Alrighty.
Comments by members. I'll start off. Since we've last met, I have moved my mom into an assisted living facility out in Chicago near my sister.
Oh.
So part of why we didn't have a meeting the last month was my busyness and forgetting to put together an agenda. So I apologize, but getting her moved out there and getting her fixtures moved out there so the house that she's in, or the apartment that she's in, looks like her old home, and then emptying out my parents' house of all the effects that have been in it since I took my first step the day they moved into that house. So it's been arduous, but so apologies on not having our meeting last month, but anybody who's gone through having to empty out a older parent's house is, I think, can relate. It's not an easy task. So, but looking forward to the Christmas tree season. If you're interested in getting a Christmas tree, reservations go live on Friday at 12 p.m.
Really? You still have to get reservations this year?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. You can't have everybody show up on the Friday after Thanksgiving at 12 noon and expect to not have gridlock. We only have so many parking spaces. You got to spread it out.
Crowd control.
That's what tear gas was for, Tom.
Tom, how much are trees this year?
It is on our website. Well, I will say this much. You do a little market research sometimes, and I can tell you that the Home Depot in Derby will be selling a 7-foot Fraser for $99.
Wow. Amazing.
They are in short supply.
Really? Wow.
Not at our farm.
Well,
I
the
was
Tate
gonna say,
estate,
There's a shortage of Christmas trees
the
too.
Tate estate has limited inventory. I should
Well, I sat in on a Connecticut Christmas Tree Growers Association meeting, Zoom meeting on Monday. And a lot of small farms will buy in some trees from like Canada. Particularly people who are doing like charity fundraisers, like a Boy Scout group or whatever.
Scouts. Yeah, Boy Scouts.
So the Connecticut Christmas Tree Growers Association, they received a couple phone calls of groups like that who were desperate because they had paid their deposit, and they, like the Monroe or Oxford Boy Scouts, 1,500 trees, and their deposit was returned, and they said, we don't take orders anymore under 50,000 trees.
Huh.
So what happened is that there was some private entities who went up into Canada and bought several of these farms, these large growers. And so rather than say, oh, I'll sell 10,000 trees or 5,000 trees, they said, nope, minimum 50,000 trees. We only deal with the Stu Leonards and Home Depots anymore. We don't want to deal with all these little mom and pop accounts. And now you've got a Boy Scout group, throughout New England, who's like, the deposits returned, and this was their major fundraiser for the year. And they're like, humana, what do I do?
Corporate America.
Welcome to the Free Commerce Society. Yes. Tragic, but unfortunate, but
Yeah.
that's the way of the world.
Yeah.
So it's caused more by not lack of truckers to truck them down, but by the big box stores grabbing them up by the truckload.
Well, the Home Depot and Lowe's were already doing that. They were already, placing contracts with some of the growers in the Carolinas or in Oregon. Those are two big areas that grow trees in the country. To lock in their order, hey, we're going to buy 200,000 trees from you. We're locking in. We want it. And to guarantee that you have that, next year or 3 or 4 years from now is important if you want to be able to sell them. You don't want to be dealing 5 years from now in competition with somebody. It's like a futures contract. Again, that's on the commercial grand scale, but it does trickle down into now you're going to have, 1,500 customers that used to go to a Boy Scouts group in Monroe or Oxford, and they're not going to be able to get their tree there. Where are they going to go?
Wow, crazy for 3 weeks too.
Yeah.
Average lifespan of a tree, 3 weeks. Imagine that, 3 weeks.
Well, I tend to think our trees last a lot longer, Jim.
I'm sure they do. But after January 15th, kind of like a little weird having that tree hanging around.
Hey, Jim, I heard if we cut you off at the knees, you'd last 3 months.
That's what they say, but I don't know.
Well, Jim, I know you didn't participate in the very beginning of the meeting, and as I'm looking at you,
I tried. I asked for a link and everything else, and nobody sends me anything. So I took the hint.
No, just we might need a Santa Claus. I'm just wondering.
Hey, I'm going to be Santa Claus in North Carolina tomorrow. So to my new grandson. So that's my comment. Miles Lashley Tate.
Mhm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Nice name. Very handsome.
Thank you.
Tom Wilson, you're next on the top of my video stack here.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to everybody before we see you next, I guess. So, and that's about it. I don't have any other big news to share.
I know you were involved with it before. Is the 5K Thanksgiving turkey trot going to be a real event or going to be virtual again?
Yeah, it's going to be a real event this year.
Great.
So, but it's, I was just talking to Shay today, as a matter of fact. But this may be the last year of this event, possibly.
Wow.
The Boys and Girls Club, well, it's not official, so but they're not going to be running it anymore. And our original committee is done. So they're looking for a nonprofit that is looking to step in for a fundraiser that's pretty much already it's everything's in place. You just have to step in and organize
popular. It's popular.
Yeah,
I mean, more popular. These runs now are more popular than ever. Now that COVID.
Yeah, especially Thanksgiving. I mean, we started off.
Yeah.
I was on the original committee, and we were hoping to get. We started what we wanted was a community event. Where families come down and
good job,
run the race, and then go to the football. Go to the football game, and then go someplace else. And it's been very successful, and we raised a lot of money for the Boys and Girls Club. But I guess everything, changes. So.
Well, speaking of changes, I understand if you hadn't heard that there will not be a Shelton Derby football game for the second year in a row. So,
Right.
Because
there was some injuries on the team, and the team is a rather small squad, so they felt it best for the health of the team.
on
players to
Derby
not have
side.
an
Okay.
They only have 3 our Rotary Club does a luncheon for them, but they only have 3 seniors on the team this year, and a lot of players playing on both sides of the ball, and it's just not safe for them to be out there and getting beat on.
Wow.
Sherry, what do you have to offer your wisdom?
Yeah, not too much. I was very sad about Guy Beardsley.
Yeah.
Do you know what was he home at that time?
I do not know the details. I found out from Terry that he had passed. So
It's crazy because we did see him at Sassafras. I felt like it was September, so he was out with looking well. He remembered me, so. Luckily, he had a long, healthy life. So cheers to Guy. He was a really amazing, very smart person.
I will think of Guy the next time a full moon comes up and I'm supposed to be planting some special crop to be in alignment with the moon. And
Yeah.
so that was all his kind of thing there with working with the planets. So
it's pretty cool.
Bill Dyer, anything?
Well, actually, sort of thinking of the full moon, the last guided hike we had was a full moon hike at Nickeldale, where we had 150 people show up, and thank God nobody died. But we are going to have the turkey trot hike that we have Sunday after Thanksgiving, just to, meet at the middle school and walk around. So that'll be publicized. And we're having, our family is all getting together this weekend at Rhode Island for sort of our get together with grandkids and whatever, because they're spread around. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, great.
Celebrating birthdays and vacations
Okay.
and Thanksgiving and that sort of thing.
And Ed McCreary, last one on the list. What do you have to offer?
Nothing particular, but maybe Tom, we should chat if that turkey trot event is something that might be appropriate for Griffin Hospital to assume as a fundraiser. Might be a fit.
That would be great because it is Derby Shelton centric. It's, both.
Right.
That's why it's, let's talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
and a healthy aspect
Health.
for the community
Right.
too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like that. Ed. That's a good idea. All right.
Yeah.
Well, all positives to end on. So
Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.
everybody have a good
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
We're gonna have a good Thanksgiving. Sorry I interrupted you, Ed. I was getting emotional.